64% of US social media users have encountered misinformation in 2026. But this exact propaganda playbook flooding our feeds today was perfected over 200 years ago to destroy Napoleon's reputation. British propagandists were so effective that a political cartoon created to boost wartime morale became accepted historical fact, repeated in textbooks and popular culture for over 2 centuries. The Napoleon height lie isn't dusty trivia, and it's the blueprint for every viral lie that shapes what you believe about the world right now. After Napoleon's passing in St. Helena, his medical team performed an autopsy that listed his height as 5 pieds 2 pouces. Later, historians confirmed that the French measurement equaled roughly 5 feet 6.5 inches. That's not a guess or an estimate, that's an official medical record from his death in 1821. Here's where the confusion starts. In his time, the French standard for a foot was larger than that of the British, so Napoleon's 5 feet 2 inches in French feet equated to 5 feet 7 inches under the British and American system. When English-speaking historians later read those French measurements without converting them, they assumed Napoleon was 5 feet 2 inches by their standards. It's like reading a temperature in Celsius but thinking it's Fahrenheit. The number stays the same, but the meaning completely changes. That 5 feet 7 inches wasn't imposing by modern standards, but it was above the 5 feet 5 inches average for a French male in Napoleon's era. So not only was Napoleon not short, he was actually taller than most of his countrymen. By today's measurements, he would be considered average height. But the measurement confusion was just the setup. The real architect of Napoleon's short reputation was a British cartoonist named James Gillray, 1756 to 1815. Gilray's caricatural depictions of the French general were so popular and influential that at the end of his life, Napoleon said that Gilray did more than all the armies of Europe to bring me down. Gilray didn't start by making Napoleon short. That evolved over time as British fears of French invasion grew. Over more than 15 years, Gilray produced dozens of cartoons attacking Napoleon's character, appearance, and ambition. His most famous work, The Plum Pudding in Danger, or State Epicures Taking Un Petit Souper, 1805, depicts the British Prime Minister William Pitt the Younger and Emperor Napoleon both carving up a terrestrial globe. Pitt sits tall and emaciated on the left. Napoleon, the little corporal, is much smaller in height and stockier in build, with a prominent hooked nose. The visual contrast wasn't accidental. It was psychological warfare. William Pitt towers over a squat, almost childlike Napoleon as they divide the pudding of the world between them. Napoleon's teetering posture on the edge of his chair hints at the precariousness of his grasp for European domination. The little bony nickname that Gilray popularized stuck like glue. His caricatures set the template for future satirical depictions of the French emperor, from the Victorian era to the present day. Even after his defeat at Waterloo in 1815, the image of Napoleon as a tantrum-prone, bloodthirsty dwarf endured in British popular culture. That single cartoonist's visual propaganda became the historical record, so James Gilray's little bony cartoons literally rewrote history. Do you think you've fallen for similar visual propaganda about current political figures? Comment your thoughts below. Drop your answer in the comments below. But here's what makes this propaganda technique so dangerous in our digital age. 3 years after Gilray's cartoons embedded Little Boney into British consciousness, that exact same playbook is flooding your feeds every single day. The propaganda technique that transformed Napoleon from average height to historical punchline has evolved into the most sophisticated misinformation machine humanity has ever built. AI-generated fake content saw a 300% increase from early 2023 to mid-2025, and the visual manipulation isn't random. It's following Gilray's blueprint with surgical precision. Take the political deepfakes that dominated the 2026 midterm campaigns. In March 2026, a video circulated showing a Democratic Senate candidate appearing to say things he never said, running over a minute long with an AI-generated label in near-illegible text in the bottom right corner, visible for just a few seconds. CNN reported on March 13th, 2026, calling it the first political deepfake in which a candidate is realistically recreated for an entire clip. Notice the technique? Just like Gilray's exaggerated Napoleon, the deepfake doesn't need to be obviously fake to work. It just needs to plant a visual impression that sticks. The tiny disclaimer is the modern equivalent of calling something a caricature, technically honest, but designed to be missed. One 2025 study published in the peer-reviewed Journal of Creative Communications found that people struggle to identify deepfake videos and that their opinions are affected by this type of misinformation. But the Napoleon technique has become truly dangerous through repetition at scale. Gilray had to hand-draw each cartoon. Today's propagandists can generate thousands of variations instantly. A 2024 study by Indiana University found that just 0.25% of X users were responsible for between 73% and 78% of all tweets considered low credibility or misinformation. Worse yet, some of these accounts were verified by X, meaning they pay for the company's accreditation, which gives their misinformation an appearance of legitimacy. The physical characteristic manipulation that defined Napoleon's false reputation is now the foundation of modern political warfare. During the 2025 Canadian federal election, 5.9% of election-related images were deepfakes. Right-leaning accounts shared them more often, 9.2% of images flagged, than left-leaning users, 3.9%, with flagged content more frequently defamatory or conspiratorial. These aren't random memes, no. They're targeted visual attacks designed to shape how you perceive candidates before you even hear their actual positions. The emotional manipulation Gilray perfected, making Napoleon look weak, childish, unstable, is now automated and personalized. What you see on social media is determined by an algorithm that curates content to keep you online as long as possible. The longer you're on, the more targeted ads the platform can sell designed to reach you specifically. Your outrage is the product being sold, and visual lies are the most efficient way to manufacture it. According to a 2025 global survey, more than half of respondents, 58%, agree they worry about what is real and fake online when it comes to news. Yet you're probably already being influenced by techniques you can't even detect. 1 in 3 Gen Z users admitted to unknowingly sharing misinformation, believing it to be factual at the time of posting. The Napoleon height lie took 200 years to become common knowledge. Today's visual lies can reshape your political reality in 200 seconds. The same technique that convinced generations that Napoleon was a tiny tyrant is now convincing millions that political candidates said things they never said, did things they never did, and represent threats they never posed. Every time you share a political image without verifying its source, you're participating in the same propaganda system that rewrote Napoleon's place in history. The only difference is speed, scale, and the algorithmic precision that ensures the lie reaches you before the truth ever can. Subscribe for more propaganda patterns that explain today's world, and watch this next video about another visual lie still fooling millions.